This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at a tablet you've been asking for. This is the Lenovo ThinkPad 8. Something different here. Usually ThinkPad tablets have a pen, this one doesn't, but it's an 8-inch tablet with a full HD display, making it a little bit unusual among 8-inch tablets so far. They go for middle-of-the-road specs. A lot of good stuff inside. We're going to look at it now. So this is the Lenovo ThinkPad 8. This is an 8.3-inch Windows 8.1 tablet. A lot of 8 going on there, isn't there? And we've already looked at the Lenovo Mix 2 8-inch tablet, which is aimed at consumers. You'll find it at consumer stores like Best Buy. Being a ThinkPad, this one's aimed a little bit more at business users. So, of course, anybody who's interested in one of these can buy them. They're available direct on Lenovo's website. You might find them in a couple of other stores that carry ThinkPad products. And, well, it has that ThinkPad look on the back, doesn't it? That same kind of matte black finish we're used to. The ThinkPad logo where the little eye even lights up when it's turned on. A little red accent around the 8-megapixel camera on the back. Higher than average resolution camera. And we'll show you some photos later on. There's an LED flash there as well. Nice, sturdy feeling magnesium frame, so it's strong. There's how it looks from the side. And as we look at the side right here, we can see we've got a door here for the micro SD card slot. Now, if 3G, 4G were available, there would also be a SIM card slot. Right now in the US, it's not. And we're looking at the $399 base version, which is a 64 gig tablet with 2 gigs of RAM, running on the Intel Z3770 1.46 Intel Atom quad-core processor. Turbo boost to 2.39 gigahertz. Right there we have the micro HDMI port. For some reason, that's been a hard thing to find on Windows 8-inch tablets so far. So Toshiba Encore had it, and we see it again here, but Dell Venue 8 Pro didn't have it. Bottom edge, we have the headphone jack, combo headphone jack. Of course, it has front camera built in, 2 megapixels, so pretty nice and bright web chat kind of stuff going on there. Also has a dual array microphone built in for those who don't want to wear headset when you're chatting. Side here we have a USB 3.0 port, micro style. That's great because it's faster transfer speeds. It's very annoying because it's very hard to find a micro USB on-the-go host adapter cable. One is not included in the box. You can use USB on-the-go 2.0 dongle adapters, and that's what we did. We're going to test out hard drives and stuff with this. Volume controls right here, reset hole, and our power sleep button is right there. And on the front we actually have a nice capacitive home button, no strange side button to actuate that. Vibrates a little bit when you press it. ThinkPad logo there. There's our 2-megapixel front-facing camera where you would expect it. Operates in portrait and landscape mode. Obviously, all of these tablets do. This weighs 14.4 ounces, so just a little bit under a pound, about the same weight as competing 8-inch tablets, and that's kind of impressive because it has a slightly larger display at 8.3 inches versus 8 or 8.1 inches. We've got Windows 8.1 here with access to the desktop. This is full Windows. You can install exe programs. That means things like Adobe Photoshop, Eclipse software, development software, you name it, you can install it. It is, however, an Intel Atom CPU. Don't expect this to do wicked multitasking with lots of heavyweight applications. It's an 8-inch tablet after all. It's really not intended to be a desktop replacement, though I know some of you creative types just might try to do that. 2 gigs of RAM here. That's the maximum that's available currently from Lenovo's website. That's soldered on board, so you can't upgrade it. This is still shipping with Windows 8.1 32-bit. The 64-bit edition with support for connected standby still isn't available, so that effectively limits you anyway in terms of the amount of RAM you can use. Like all these tablets, this uses eMMC style storage, which is something like a removable SD card, only it's built in internally. So it's not fast like a SSD hard drive would be, an mSATA kind that you would find in an Ultrabook, sorry to say. And that so far really is what holds these back from even better performance. These are actually pretty quick tablets. The CPU is pretty darn good on this, but the storage system not so much. You'll notice that when you're installing software or launching large games, if you're just moving around the UI and using any of the Metro apps, you'll certainly never notice that. And you can see our Crystal Disk Mark scores here. Not too impressive compared to traditional SSDs, again, in high-end Core i5 tablets or in Ultrabooks, but as these Atom tablets go, that's about the speed that you typically see, about 1/4 of the speeds of an mSATA SSD drive. When it comes to other synthetic benchmarks, on PC Mark 7, it scored 2517, which is pretty good, par for the course for these Bay Trail latest generation Intel Atom quad-core CPUs. W Prime computed pi in 27.7 seconds. Geekbench 3, 32-bit test, obviously, because we have a 32-bit version of Windows installed here. 944 single-core and multi-core 3034. So not bad performance there. From the CPU side, we have Intel HD integrated graphics here, not nearly as fast as Intel HD 4400 graphics. Again, I know some of you stretch these things to do some crazy stuff, like playing desktop Windows games and stuff like that. That's really not what this is designed for. If you want to try it, you go ahead. Really, at best, you're looking at Ultrabook level performance cut in half when it comes to gaming, which can still be enough for some older 3D games, but you're not going to play Battlefield 4 on this really with good frame rates or good resolutions. And speaking of resolution, full HD display here. That sets us apart from other Windows 8 8-inch tablets that so far have been 1280 by 800 resolution. So full HD here. That should be awesome, right? Well, be careful what you ask for. In Metro, things are nice and sharp, and let's take a look at the news application, because that always has very good typography and some pretty images here. And we've got our brightness turned almost all the way up, with auto brightness turned off. And by the way, 324 nits of brightness, which is good. Not as high as the Dell Venue 8 Pro, but good. Looks pretty nice, looks pretty sharp. You get more text here. In fact, let's compare that to what we see on the Dell Venue 8 Pro, which does run at 1280 by 800. So here they are side by side. You can see that thanks to the higher resolution, you're getting a bit more text on the Lenovo. That's this one I'm wiggling right here. Notice that the whites are whiter on the Dell, though, compared to the Lenovo. The Lenovo has a slight pink color cast. These are both set to the same brightness level, by the way. In terms of text clarity, the thing is you probably won't notice so much here in these Metro apps because it's using slightly larger typeface here on the Dell, so clarity becomes less of an issue. When you bring the font size down a little smaller, well, readability is actually about the same. Funny that. So it's nice to have the extra pixels. I think really it's going to shine more for photos and for videos maybe than reading text, which isn't what I expected. I thought, wow, just like an Android or an iOS tablet, this is really going to be much, much sharper text. So far, not feeling it as much. And how about if we look at an image now? And we raise it a little bit. They use pretty high quality images here. It definitely looks nice. Earth-shattering, not so much. Now if we move over to the Windows desktop, there it is. Again, when I say be careful what you ask for, that's because, you know, in general, it's amazing that we can have Windows 8 in something this small. At the same time, the desktop is pretty hard to maneuver with your finger right here. Resolution scaling, they ship it by default at 150% scaling. Otherwise, things would be really minute and really pretty hard to see and impossible to touch. And applications that don't respect Windows scaling settings, like Adobe Photoshop, for example, have pretty darn teeny menus. It would be nice to be able to use a pen with this, but for some reason, Lenovo decided not to make the ThinkPad 8 tablet with a Wacom pen like they usually do. They say they think that there wasn't enough demand for that, and you know they know how many of these things they sell, so perhaps they're right. But it's become kind of a hallmark of the ThinkPad tablet to have a pen, so kind of a bummer there. And it would help a little bit with these teeny UI items. And now here again we have the Dell at the bottom, we have the Lenovo up top, so 1280 by 800 resolution versus 1920 by 1080. So Lenovo desktop scaling 150% has icons that are pretty much the size of the 1280 by 800 panel running at 100%. That is no extra zoom added. Of course, you could again run the Lenovo at 100% scaling, but things become really, really minute there. So probably you want to stick with that 150%. In terms of how sharp things look, like icons on the desktop, yeah, a little bit sharper on the ThinkPad tablet, but thanks to the zooming, which can change the perception of sharpness a little bit, not as much as you would think. In terms of software, this is a baby ThinkPad, so we have Lenovo's usual tools right here that we can bring up. Everything that you're used to, Lenovo Update, Lenovo Recovery, all of that sort of stuff is right here. So it gives, if you're used to Lenovo ThinkPad products, you're going to feel a nice sense of continuity, and you're going to know how this thing works in terms of updates and maintenance right out of the gate. And you IT types are also going to love that too, because you've got that whole standard manageability of Lenovo products going on. So how about web browsing? We're actually using the desktop version of IE. You got both the Metro version and the desktop version, and I've tapped in the URL bar to try to activate it. And this is a thing with Windows. You tap on something and it should bring up the keyboard, and it doesn't. I mean, I love Windows tablets a lot, but I just have to say they really need to get that working. But the only time it ever starts popping up the on-screen keyboard is when you have a physical keyboard attached. Don't. Here's the on-screen keyboard. Really nice, easy to use, auditory feedback. No complaints there. It's really just a pleasure to use. Windows 8 keyboard. And you sometimes have to close the keyboard for yourself too. That's a Windows thing. What can you do? So here's our website, mobiletechreview.com, and it looks good. It scrolls fine. Certainly very fast. Nice and easy to read. So we'll check out our video review of the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 Android tablet. It's a test video playback, and so you can hear the stereo speakers that fire from the bottom edge. Now you get to deal with fiddly flash player controls here. They're going to be small. This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at another 8.4, as you might guess, 8.4-inch display. Incredibly high resolution, fastest 8-inch tablet you can get in the world of Android. And we're going to look now we've got up to 720p. So here it is, Samsung's new small Pro line tablet, the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. It wouldn't be Samsung if they didn't. And we have our volume at 68%, and those speakers are firing from right here. As 8-inch tablets go, the speakers are just fine, honestly. You can't expect that much volume and bass. They sound good. They're not distorting. It's not bad. So since this is a full Windows 8 PC, yes, you can install Adobe Photoshop, Creative Cloud on here. You can install iTunes, drivers for anything. If it's available for Windows, a driver in exe format, typical Windows stuff, you can install it here. So it makes it versatile. And we have that USB port, again, USB 3.0 micro style. We have a USB 2.0 micro to full-size USB adapter, and we're going to plug it in right on the top up here. Again, it's really hard to find USB 3.0 micro HDMI on the go, so 2.0 a lot easier because a lot of tablets are using that in the mobile OS space. Western Digital 2.5-inch portable hard drive right here, spinning right up. You just heard that sound. Opens it up on the desktop, not a problem. Keyboards, mice, 3G, 4G dongles, MIDI USB interfaces, anything you want to use via USB, you can do it here. Only one port, so you might have to use a hub if you want to use several peripherals at once, but hey, it's not the end of the world. And that makes this quite a powerful little device. If you want to use an external display, obviously we have the HDMI out, and you also have Miracast wireless display, which is built into Windows 8.1. That's kind of like the newer updated version of Intel WiDi, for those of you who are wondering. So, magnetic covers, they're all the rage. We've seen this kind of thing before. Magnetic connection right there. Plastic can only go on one way and on one side, so you can't possibly get it wrong. It holds on so strong you can flap the tablet around. And this is called the quick shot cover. And why do they call it that? Because if you fold it back like this, you see this neat little flap right here? It's magnetic. Only when you put it on the back side will the magnet work, and it automatically launches the camera application. Pretty cool, right? $35 cover. Nice soft touch material here. Also acts as a stand though. You've got a little piece of hard plastic here to help it. I don't find it's the most stable thing in the world. You're supposed to use it like that. And it kind of works, but it can also kind of do that a lot too. So be careful how you use it. So speaking of the camera, this was taken with the rear camera in actually a very dark room where photographs usually don't come out well. So very impressive low light photography here. There's our cute little cat Gupta. We can zoom in and you can see a whole lot of detail here, not blocky. It's a really nice camera. It's certainly worthy of making a quick shot back cover because it's that good. Can also shoot 1080p video. Looks pretty darn good, especially given a lot of high contrast with his white fur. Captures movement well. There's no motion blur right there. And now you can see how I always have little cuts in my hands. Chewy little cat. So as tablet cameras go, you're definitely getting something better than average with the ThinkPad. So for your $399, you should, right? You get the higher resolution display, even though so far I'm not finding that to be a huge winner. The USB 3.0 port built in, the micro HDMI built in. Nice fast performance. That's the latest generation Intel Atom, the slightly faster version of the Intel Atom CPU, clocked at 1.46 gigahertz, the same thing that's used in the Dell Venue 11 Pro, larger tablet. Nice build quality, good looks. Battery life, though, Lenovo says about 8 hours, and they're pretty much on target there. Mixed productivity use, yes, streaming some videos. It's hard to resist watching an episode of House of Cards, but beyond that, just using Microsoft Office, doing web browsing, email, that kind of thing. 7.5 to 8 hours with brightness set at 50%. As mobile OS 8-inch tablets go, that's kind of average, par for the course. We won't mention the iPad mini with Retina display, but we just did. Of course, that one's always the poster child for the best battery life. It's going to last longer, but does it run full Windows? No, the Lenovo does. Speaking of Office and all things Windows, here's where it gets a little confusing. You can order this with Windows 8.1, regular Windows 8.1, and then you'll get MS Office 2013 Home and Student Edition included, so you get your Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and your OneNote there. If you get it with Windows 8.1 Pro, both of those being 32-bit, but if you get the Pro version, the way Microsoft licensing works, you don't get the free included copy of Office. And again, the $399 base price gets you Windows 8.1 with the MS Office 2013 Home and Student Edition included. So you got to spend another $100 to go up to Windows 8.1 Pro. I think probably only business users would opt for that otherwise. So who is this for? It's for anybody who wants a Windows 8 8-inch tablet, obviously. It's got a little bit bigger display, a little higher resolution, so not only that, you want something a bit higher end. You know, Lenovo's own Mix 2 8-inch is also a very nice tablet with a metal back, very nice display, not this high resolution, so it can be a difficult choice. Obviously, businesses are probably going to offer the ThinkPad brand for obvious reasons. They've been buying ThinkPads for a while, but otherwise, it's a tough choice, really, because you can get that for $100 less, just like the Dell Venue 8 Pro. For those of you who want the higher resolution display, mostly. And for those of you who are happy using Windows 8 on an 8-inch display, it's pretty cool, it's pretty powerful. IT types will love this. There's a lot of power in your pocket to manage servers, test network connections, all that kind of thing. But I think for the average home user, in a way, Windows tablets are really better suited to the 10.6 and up inch and up kind of use, because it's just not that easy to use a desktop on 8 inches. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad 8. It's available now, again, starting at $399, so $100 more than other Windows 8 8-inch tablets on the market. And for that, you get the higher resolution display, slightly larger display, HDMI port, and USB 3.0. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.